Julie here from Julie's Cake in a Box. You may remember in the last video I showed you how to stack a 2-tier cake. This is the cake here. So as you can see, if you remember, it was an 8-inch round cake with a 6-inch round stacked on top, and they were both placed on a 12-inch round cake drum, which had already been pre-iced. All I've done in between is I've just popped a little thin pink ribbon just around the edges, just to mask those joins. I'm just going to move that out of the way, and today I'm going to show you how I'm going to decorate this cake. It's National Carers Week this week, so I'm actually going to decorate it with rainbow coloured love hearts, and it's been donated to a local care home just to say thank you for all the hard work that they've been doing, especially obviously at the moment during the lockdown. They always work hard, but at the moment especially. So what I've done, which you might not be able to see, they're just off shot here, I've already pre-coloured and cut out some heart-shaped shapes here for decorating, but I'm just going to show you with the last colour how I've done them. So I'm just going to start with some white sugar paste. I use couture, which I buy from Cake Stuff, but any white sugar paste that you normally use will do. I'm just going to give it a quick knead to soften it up, and then I'm going to colour it using this Rainbow Dust Pro Gel purple colour. The Pro Gels are my favourite to use because they just give a really vivid colour. Okay, so I've just squeezed just a small amount into the paste, and I'm just going to knead that through. You do need to be careful because it does get on your hands, so just keep kneading it through. As you can see, the colour's starting to come through now. It doesn't take long at all, and it gives you a really good colour. Let's quickly finish this off. You can see it really changing colour now. Just keep going until it's all one even colour, and then if need be you can add a little bit more colour in if you want it a bit brighter, but just wait until it's kneaded all the way through first, just to make sure. Quickly keep going there, and as you can see, a nice purple. I'm just going to add a touch more, not very much really, just a tiny bit. Because it's a rainbow theme, I just want to make sure the colours are nice and bright on this one. A nice colourful cake to say thank you. So just knead that through. Get your muscles working in the morning. This is also a really good design for using odds and ends, bits of paste that you've coloured maybe for other cakes. There we go, almost there now. Just keep kneading, and as you can see, the colour's coming through really well. So I'm just going to roll it out on a non-stick board. This one is one that I've had for ages. It's just a self-healing matte board. I find this one really good for colouring my pastes on, because then if I get any bits of colour on it, I don't mind. It's not my best board. I'm just going to pop a little bit of corn flour on the board before I roll it out. Because this paste is really freshly coloured, it is a little tiny bit sticky. Some of the other colours that I had that were already pre-coloured, that I was rolling out earlier, didn't necessarily need to use the corn flour on all of those. But as I say, because this one has just been freshly coloured, it is a little bit sticky. I'm rolling it out to about 1 to 2 mil thickness. Okay, I don't want a real chunky piece of icing going onto the cake, because obviously with it being sugar paste, it's an edible decoration this, so I don't want to add too much sugar paste onto the paste that's already on the cake. There we go. So as I say, about 1 to 2 mil thick, and I'm using this heart cutter. It measures 4 centimetres from the tip here to the little point at the top there where it dips down. The cake is actually 12 centimetres in depth, so it means I'm going to fit 3 of these quite nicely. The hearts that I've already cut out, I've placed them onto foam pads and just covered them with cling film just to keep the paste nice and fresh. And I'm actually cutting out 18 of each heart. I haven't measured it. I don't really know how many I'm going to use, so I just thought I would cut out some and we'll see how we go. If I have to cut more out, fair enough. If I have some left over, because the paste is being kept nice and fresh under the cling film, I can just roll it back up to use another time. So when I'm cutting out with the metal cutters, I'm putting it down, giving it a good wiggle, just to lift the paste from the board, because you don't want it to be stuck. And then if it comes out in the cutter, that's great, because I can just rub over the edge with my finger. It's not coming out in the cutter now. Just if there's any rough edges, just pat it a little bit with your finger, or as I say, rub over the cutter if the shape comes out there, like that one. The shape's come out in there, and you can just give it a little rub, just in case there's any raggedy edges. But hopefully, with giving it a good shape around, it should give you a lovely clean cut. There we go. Nearly there. So my initial idea for the design is to have the love hearts on the bottom and then some nice coloured rainbow spots on the top. But we'll see how it goes. That's the vision I've got in my head. Whether or not that's how it ends up, we'll see. I've not really planned this one out too far in advance. I'm just going to go with the flow on this one, I think. See what happens. Okay, so I just need 2 more. One there. And then this bit here doesn't seem to be rolled quite so thin, so I'm just going to go over that a little tiny bit with my rolling pin, just to even it up. There we go. And then cut out that last shape. And then just cover them back over with the cling film, just keep them nice and fresh whilst I get rid of this. So, paste that's left over, I'm just going to knead it back together to make sure it's nice and soft, and I'm going to pop it into a Ziploc bag to keep it fresh. When you're working with sugar paste, if you leave it out in the air, it's going to start drying out. Okay, so when you're finished with it, always pop it back in some plastic just to make sure that it's okay. So move those out of the way, and as you can see when you're colouring paste, you can see my hand there, yucky. So I'm just going to quickly wash my hands, because the last thing I want is to get all my purple paste from my hands transferring onto the cake. So just excuse me for 1 second while I give my hands a bit of a scrub and make sure all that colouring comes off. Maybe talk amongst yourselves for a moment while I do this. There we go. Okay, so I've got the cake here on my turntable, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the back of the cake. So I'm going to just spin it around quickly until I find there's where I've joined the ribbons at the back. Because I don't know whether it's going to actually meet up in the middle very well, or whether I'm going to have a bit of an overlap or a bit of a gap, I always start with patterns at the back, so that as you work your way around the cake, the front is all lovely, and then any joins you have to do or any gaps are going to be at the back, and you disguise them a little bit easier. Okay, so I'm going to uncover all of my shapes now, really carefully, trying not to knock them all off. Some of them have stuck a little bit to the cling film. Oops, and with it being a rainbow, normally a rainbow has 7 colours. I always remember it, Richard of York gave battle in vain. So red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. I'm missing out the indigo on this one, so we're just having the 6 colours. I want them to be nice bright colours, and to me indigo is a little bit too dark. I don't want to introduce too much in the way of the blues and the purples. I want to keep lots of vibrant colours there. So we're using a little bit of artistic licence and just going with the 6 colours for the rainbow for now. I'm going to use water to stick them on. So I've got a little pot with some cooled boiled water and a nice thick paintbrush just to pop the colour on with. And all I'm going to do, dip it in, wipe off the excess. I'm just going to paint a little bit just in the middle. I'm not going to worry about getting around all the edges, and I'm just going to position that right where that join is. Try and make sure that it's nice and straight. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 of each colour for my pattern on this one. You could just do 1 of each if you wanted. Okay, I'm going to line that up in there. Just make sure it's straight. There we go. Because you're using water, there is a little bit of wriggle room. So if it's not quite lined up, you can go back to it and line it up. Okay. Just Spin that around a bit. Move on to the orange. So the way I've lined them up on my boards at the back here hopefully should help me to keep the pattern going of the colours. You could, if you wanted, if you're a little bit worried, you could lay the pattern out before you stick it on the cake. Particularly if you're doing a more complicated one, but this one's quite a simple design. Yeah, so we're going to just keep sticking them on like so as we go around. I just think this is really bright. This would be lovely for a children's cake as well. Doesn't necessarily have to be for carers. It's just a lovely, bright, colourful design. Okay, so I'm just going to keep going around. Now onto the blue. And we'll see when it gets around to the other side whether or not it's going to meet at some point, or we'll work out the design when we get round there. Now, if you were being really precise, you could work it out. You could use some greaseproof paper, wrap that around your cake and work out the exact measurements. But to be honest, nobody looks at the back of the cake. Okay. So you can see we've got this gap here. So we're going to go back to the red now. And that's the beginning. So then what we'll do is when we get to the other side, where we started from, I will then go back to the proper colours for the design for the next row. You'll see what I mean when we get there. A bit. Now you didn't have to go for the ribbon if you didn't want to around it. You could just go straight in with the pattern. And that one just overlaps a little bit. So to be honest, I'm not going to bother trimming the excess off because you can see it only just overlaps on each side there. So I'm just going to pop it on and that should mask it quite well. Okay, so starting where we were before with this one here, this was our first red. So above that, I'm going to go in with orange, which is the next colour along in my design, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to stick the orange one there. And then this will give us like a diagonal kind of a pattern going on. Okay. That one's got a bit sticky. I'm just going to leave a tiny little gap there. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to stick the yellow one above, just to make sure that it lines up with the top of the cake nicely. So this just gives me the chance now to just adjust any size, any gaps that I want to leave before I go around the whole cake. Yeah, there we go. I'm quite happy with that. I'll stick the other yellow one on just to finish that pattern bit there. Just to check and make sure I'm happy with the spacing. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go back to the middle row now. Okay, so you can still see it's still following the red, orange, yellow colour. But now we're going to start going back around the side. That was just so that I could get my placing right. So back to the yellow now. Onto the second row. I'm just going to keep working our way around. So as I say, we missed off the red, started on the yellow. Not the yellow, sorry, the orange. I'm confusing myself now. It does make sense when you're doing it. Okay, so that's the green. It certainly does make a big difference cutting out all the shapes in advance. So you can imagine trying to do this whilst you're cutting all the shapes out at the same time, it would be a nightmare. As I say, I always do try to cut out the decorations in advance. So if I'm doing like checkered designs or anything like that, stripes. Always try and cut your pieces out first. Put some cling film over the top of them and then keep them nice and soft that way, and off you go. Makes this part of it so much quicker. Okay. And back to red. So just keep adjusting the positioning as you go around. Try and keep it in line as much as you can. For some reason that's a little bit off. It's orange again. So hopefully we will have enough hearts cut out. As I say, I just did 18 of each, and that was to go around my 8-inch diameter cake. Last one. Again, just overlap that slightly where it joins at the back there. Nobody will notice. Okay, so on this one, so we've got our yellow here, so we're going to go now onto the green to go next to that one. Now you may notice, I don't know if it's picking it up on there, I think it is, yeah. Just here, I was a little bit heavy-handed with my water on the brush. Less is more. And what you will find is just here, look, the water's just starting to leak a little bit. So just get some clean water and a clean brush and just wipe that away. There we go. I mean, obviously I did that on purpose so that I could show you how to fix it. So again, remember, this is why I'm only putting the water right in the middle, but even so it's still seeped out to the edge. And especially when you're wiggling the shape around a bit to position it, it can just end up with little marks on your sugar paste. So that's how to get it clean again. Just go back over with a little bit of clean water and a clean brush. If there's quite a lot of water that's leaked out, when you go back over with your clean water again, you can just use some clean dry kitchen towel or kitchen paper just to blot the clean water off again. Keep going round. This is just a really quick and easy way to, it's a bit fiddly, but a quick and easy way to get a really bright, vibrant cake. And then I just need to decide, am I going to carry on with the heart design all the way on the second tier as well, or move on to do some polka dots? I haven't decided yet. Depends how many hearts I have left. There we go. Nearly there. Must excuse me if I keep throwing the brush down, I'm sorry. I don't know how much of that the camera's picking up on the sound with the microphone, but I do apologise if you hear me keep throwing my brush on the worktop. There we go. One more. There we go. So obviously that's the back, where this row here is just overlapping slightly. But as you turn it around, you can see it's quite a nice colourful design. I think actually I've got quite a lot of hearts left. I think I am going to go and do the top as well. So I'm going to find the back again, because obviously I want to keep going to make that the back. Okay, and work out my pattern. So we've got red, orange, yellow, so green is my next one here. Try and keep it all lined up. But obviously this time, because it's going on to a smaller cake, it might throw the pattern off a little bit, so we'll just see. Actually, yeah, that is going to throw it off quite a lot. No, I think I'm going to go polka dots on the top because I don't like how that's going to end up throwing the pattern off. So just here, you might not be able to see it on the camera, but where I've done the, stuck those hearts on, because I've taken them off, it's now left a little green mark. So I'm just dipping my brush in the water. I'm going to wipe off the excess on my hand, and I'm just going to clean that off. Okay, so again, wiping off the excess, clean that off. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of kitchen towel and just, I'm not going to wipe it, I'm just going to dab gently just to dry that off a little bit. Okay, and that should be nice and clean there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the bottom as the hearts, and then the top I'm going to do some polka dots. So I'm going to move that out of the way. But rather than rolling out new paste, I'm going to put the polka dots out of the heart shapes that I've got left over because they're already rolled. So rather than wasting time scrumpling all that up and rolling out fresh, I may as well just use those heart shapes and cut the circles out of those. So I've got a little pot here with all my circles in. Okay, I have lots of different sized circles. Circle cutters are fabulous because you always need circles, so that's one thing I would definitely always advise you to get hold of. And I'm just going to use the heart shapes and cut some little circles out of there. Okay, so I'm going to do different sizes. That's a bigger one. I'm not very good at random, I must admit, so you will have to bear with me when I'm putting the circles on because, yeah, I don't do random very well. I like order in what I'm doing. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Just going to see if I can get a bit bigger one as well. See if that will cut out a big circle. No, that's too big. I wanted a bigger one, but obviously it needs to be a size that I can get out of my heart shapes. There we go. So, and obviously I'm not going to throw away all these little bits of paste that I've got because they will just cut down into where I can roll that back up again and reuse it. Okay, so I'm not going to do too many because I can always cut more out as we go along. So you see, this is where the designs evolve. They don't always carry on being exactly what you intended them to be. So this design would look lovely, do you know, if you were doing like a big double-barrelled cake. That would be really nice as well, because the heart design then would go higher up on the cake and it would look really pretty. Okay, so just keep cutting out those circles. Another thing you can do as well, if you've got a big circle like this, you can use a smaller circle cutter and just cut out the middle, and then you end up with one with a hole in and a smaller circle as well. I quite like doing that when I do circle designs. Just gives it a little bit more of an interest. I might just cut one out of the red ones that I've got there as well, and one of the orange ones. Okay, so I'm just going to keep cutting out circles. I'm going to be careful not to use the hearts that are stuck on the cake already, because obviously they're still a little bit damp and sticky on the back of them. This. How many have I got? So I don't want too many. I don't want it to look like the cake's got measles or anything. So we'll just do a few blue and a few of the purple. And then we'll start sticking them on. And because we've already got these heart shapes cut out already, we can soon cut out some more circles as we go along if we need to. Those, and we'll just get some purple ones. There we go. nearly there. Okay, so that will do me for now. I'm going to change over now and just use a smaller brush for my water, because what I don't want is to end up with loads of water on, because the shapes now are smaller. If I use that big paintbrush again, let's take that off the turntable now so that you can see it. There we go, you see there, yeah. And I'm just going to make a bit of space at this side. Move it back over here. There we go, so we can see it a bit better now. And I'm going to do my best to just stick these on nice and randomly. Like I say, I'm not very good at random, so you'll have to bear with me. And we could have, what colour haven't we got already? Green. Turn that around a little bit. Good. So we're just going to keep going all the way around the cake. As I say, with different sizes, different colours, using some of those ones that have got the cut out middles. So inside this cake, the top tier is chocolate. Can't go wrong with a chocolate cake. It's chocolate, and it has got a toffee chocolate mocha buttercream. And the bottom tier, I've been experimenting a little bit with flavours, so the bottom tier has got vanilla sponge with a really nice tangy pineapple buttercream. I wasn't sure actually whether it would taste very nice, but it's quite nice. I'm personally not keen on the chocolate toffee mocha because I don't like coffee, but I gave it a try. My children liked it, but it wasn't the flavour for me personally. But if anybody that likes coffee, I'm sure they would absolutely love that. So I'm hoping that the ladies and gentlemen of staff working at the care home, I hope that they like coffee, because that's the flavour they've got. It works really, really well with the chocolate sponge, I must admit. It was nice. There we go. And as I say, the pineapple buttercream was really quite nice for a change with the vanilla sponge as well. Okay, so we've gone all the way around there with some nice polka dots. I'm not very happy with that green one there. You can see there's a green spot there, but it's got a little bit of a water stain on the top, so I'm just going to take that one off and cut a new one out. And just replace that over the top of where that was. Oh, that's better. I'm not going to bother putting any polka dots on the top, I don't think. Although I might do actually. Why not? I've got some left. See, this is the thing. When I cut out too many of something, I don't like to not use them. And this is when I end up going a bit too far. I never know when to stop. But anyway, we'll just stick a few on the top. I don't think you can quite see that with the camera angle. But what I'll do is I'll take some photos of it later so that you can see the finished cake. It reminds me a little bit of, I'm showing my age now, when my children were younger, they used to like watching a programme, I think it was called Something Different. Oh, I don't know. It was Mr. Tumble anyway. And it reminds me a bit of that because he had a lot of polka dot and colourful things. There we go. Another one there. Okay, so I'll just tip that down a bit. I don't think you can see it actually. You can see just there, look, I've got some on the top. And what I could actually do while I'm at it is I'm going to just do some over the edge. So, I'll turn this round, and I think if I move it further along, it might come into shot a bit better. There we go. Okay, what I'm going to do now is just pop some. So I'm going to have it half dangling over the top, and I'm just going to gently press it over the edge. So you've got half on the top and half over. Okay, and this is why I shouldn't cut out too many circles. It's a good job I stopped when I did, or else the cake would just be full. But I think it's nice just to finish it off with some going over the edge. It needs to be nice and colourful, doesn't it? They've been working really hard. They deserve a colourful cake. Let's put some extra on there. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to finish it off with some ribbon around the board, and I think I'll probably just do some kind of a message about it being National Carers Week on the board as well. I'll cut some lettering out later on. I'm just going to put one more, just want a yellow one. I can find a smaller cutter. There we go. Let's pop a yellow one just in this gap here, and then I think I'm going to call that enough. Enough's enough. Okay, so you can see if I just spin that around, you've got some lovely colourful design going on there. Okay, so if you wanted more hearts on the bottom, you could have gone for a smaller heart cutter, but obviously you would need a whole lot more love hearts cut out to finish the design off. Or you could potentially do larger love hearts on the bottom and maybe some smaller love hearts on the top if you wanted that to go around, so that it would finish off, because as you can see, I found the red there, look, it kind of goes up in a pattern. Not there because that's the back. Try this one, look. Okay, so you can see kind of the pattern goes up diagonally going around. Okay, so there we have it. A nice colourful cake. If you've got any questions, just pop them in the comments below and I'll be happy to help you. Till next time, bye.